All right. Well, welcome, Torie, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
We appreciate your interest in teaching at Anywhere School District. But before we begin, could you please briefly introduce yourself and share what excites you about this opportunity?
My name is Torie Marks. I'm from Lamona, Iowa. I began working with students my freshman year of high school at a program called Exploration Academy, and I've been working with them through AmeriCorps and through my practicum and student teaching. What excites me about this opportunity is being able to watch students grow.
Awesome. So our mission at Anywhere University is to ensure that all students demonstrate high levels of academic achievement. And we look at this through a culture of perseverance, respect, integrity, discipline, and enthusiasm. How do these aspects align with your teaching philosophy?
I'm aligned with my teaching philosophy by making sure I meet each individual child's needs and having my differentiation, having engaging lessons that allow students to be critical thinkers, and reaching out to resources.
Awesome. So we're going to talk in a couple of different frameworks, and the first one is going to be about your teaching philosophy, instructional approach. Okay? So the first question I have for you is, what inspired you to become an elementary teacher, and what motivates you to continue that profession?
What got me into being a teacher is my first grade teacher named Miss Randy. She had noticed that I had reading comprehension issues and was able to provide me the resources in order to help me succeed. And so I want to be that for my students, being able to help them and meet their needs.
Awesome. Can you describe a successful lesson you taught? And then in doing so, can you talk about what made it effective and how did you engage students?
A successful lesson I taught was called The Very Hungry Caterpillar, where we were working on sequencing the story. It was very effective because kids were highly engaged. They got to go up to the felt board and place an item from the story. What also made it engaging was at the end, instead of just doing a paper pencil test, I chose to do a paint stick where they had clothespins and they sequenced the story from beginning to end while also talking about the life cycle of a butterfly.
Nice. That sounds really fun. Can you, on the opposite side, tell us about a lesson that maybe didn't go quite as you planned? What did you learn and how did you adjust?
During my student teaching, I was teaching 10 bears in a bus. And so we had a few bears get on at the first bus stop. And the kids had to tell me how many more bears got on the second bus stop to make 10. Well, they weren't getting this concept. They thought how many bears were on the 10 frame at the first bus stop is how many were all together. And so I had to adjust by pointing to the individual 10's frame boxes to help them know that 8 plus 2 more equals 10, using those manipulatives.
Awesome. And this is probably right up to your cup of tea, tying into what you talked about. How exactly do you differentiate instructions to meet the diverse learner needs, to include gifted and talented students, students perhaps with IEPs, or even ELL, English language learners?
I incorporate ELL through having around my room, like the light switch is labeled into their native language to help tag when I'm reading a story, not calling on them first, but rather calling on them third, fourth, and fifth to allow them to think of not the first answer that comes to mind, but the second answer. My differentiated small group reading, so in my student teaching, we have the lower, middle, and higher. Lower level is working on their letter sounds, segmenting and blending. The middle, we're working on fluency and not having to stop each time to sound out a word. And the higher, pushing them to read larger test class comprehension, allow them to also ask questions.
Awesome. And for the last part of your philosophy and sort of your instructional approach, how do you assess student progress? And how do you use that data to inform your future instruction?
I assess it through formal and informal by asking questions, making observations, and I use this data to see, well, if they're struggling writing their name or writing the letters of the alphabet, what can I do as an educator to make them be able to learn this concept better? Is that through the sticks and curves, tracing their alphabet letters in the morning time?
Awesome. We're going to move on to classroom management and student engagement strategies. So that's going to be the focus for this section. I would like you to describe your classroom management style and for you to sort of talk about how you create a safe, respectful, and engaging environment for students.
So to begin with, I create a safe, engaging, and welcoming environment by greeting my students outside the door with a door greeter. They can do a fist bump, high five, etc. Then at the beginning of the school year, we talk about the rules, expectations, routines, what they look like, sound like, feel like, so the students are able to know what's next in their day. And also inclusive, having covers over my lights. I have a calm down corner where the kids can go if they're feeling big emotions.
Nice. And you might even, what you said just segues into this next question, but how do you handle challenging student behavior? And can you share a specific example of a time when you successfully redirected a student who is exhibiting a challenging behavior?
I exhibit challenging behavior by having a calm voice with them and kind of figuring out maybe what's going on that's causing this behavior. Is this something that's happening at home? And collaborating with my behavior team, my other colleagues, and how I can help the students. Is that through this? Going to the questions. I can do hard things even if I don't want to.
Good. Awesome. Those are great answers. The next one is, what strategies do you use to promote perseverance, that growth mindset within your classroom?
To promote perseverance is through positive reinforcement. Having a kid do a couple problems and saying, good job, and then having them keep going and go.
Awesome. We're going to move on to collaboration and communication, and that's going to be our framework. And so Anywhere School District really does emphasize the importance of teamwork and effective communication. How have you collaborated with other teachers, support staff, or administration to improve student learning?
I have collaborated during my student teaching with another kindergarten teacher over our diagraphs and what morning work can I implement to help them learn the diagraphs a little bit better. I have given her blends. I made these posters that have the L blends. I've also collaborated with our cluster, which is our instructional coach, on how I can get students more engaged. How can we get them to be communicating, them kind of facilitating the lessons, them taking that student-centered part through asking open-ended questions, turning and talking to their peers, allowing them to be a part of the process as well.
Nice answer. The next question word for collaboration and communication is, what strategies do you use to build strong relationships with parents and guardians and to keep them engaged in their child's education?
So at the beginning of the school year, I try to find a positive in all the students and call home. Maybe the student was doing a nice job with their alphabet. They're being kind to a friend. Making that first call positive, because a lot of times when parents hear calls from the school, they always think of something negative about their child. Another way that I create positive is through my weekly newsletter, allowing the parents to know what is happening inside the classroom from math, phonics, social studies, science, allowing them to be a part, inviting them into our classroom to help students with reading or small groups.
Awesome. We're going to now move on to the Iowa Core and the 21st Century Skills. How do you align your instruction with the Iowa Core standards to ensure students are meeting grade level expectations?
I look at the standards I need to teach and make sure they are aligning.
Okay, nice. And so the next part of that is the Iowa Core emphasizes 21st century skills, including critical thinking, collaboration, and digital literacy. How do you incorporate these skills into your teaching?
I incorporate critical thinking within our SEL program. We were just talking about social cues and being able to recognize them within a person. So having them critically think, how can you tell someone's feeling angry? What can you see around them? What can you do? Technology we incorporate within our morning program through letter sounds, games on the computers that are self-monitored.
Awesome. We're going to move on to technology integration for our category. How do you integrate technology into your teaching to enhance student learning?
In my student teaching, we integrate technology through the program called IXL, which is a self-paced curriculum for reading and math, where it allows kids to be at their level. Maybe they're adding to 5 or adding to 10. That's one way that we integrate it, and also also through those morning meetings, saying their alphabet letters, sounds, sight words. We do it through numbers, shapes, etc. And brain breaks also is another thing.
Nice. And so the next question is, have you used any online learning platforms like adaptive schools, integrative technology, AI? Like, what are some of the things that you utilize?
I've used AI to help me make rubrics with my Song Rocket lesson. I've tried to revamp that, and I've used AI to help me with like differentiation. I've also used AI when making roll-in reads for short A, long A, and helping like brainstorm like lesson ideas.
Awesome. And so we're moving on to sort of the last one, and this one's a little bit more serious, but we always have to know these things. And it's about situational or scenario-based questions, okay? And so the first one is, imagine you have a student who is struggling academically and socially. What steps would you take to support them?
To help a student that was academically and socially, I would first, for the academic, kind of see where they're struggling at and provide interventions. And if these interventions don't work, going and talking to my title instead. Educators to help me make the student have growth. Socially, like having them go into groups for a few minutes and then go away from the group, trying to integrate a few minutes and then a few more minutes. Reading like social stories.
Awesome. Okay, so the next one is, can you tell us about a time when you maybe had a disagreement with a colleague or administrator, and how did you handle that?
I haven't personally had a disagreement with a colleague or a person, but how I would handle this is making sure I talk to the person and kind of figuring out what was a disagreement and how can we come to a common agreement. If we can't, then asking maybe the principal to come in and also help us. We want to make sure that we all are working as a team.
Cool. And sort of the last one is, and it's an important question though, but how would you handle an emergency situation in your classroom, such as maybe a medical emergency or unexpected school shutdown?
A medical emergency, I would make sure my kids are evacuated from the classroom, so it's just a student, making sure that I call the office, 911, making sure that the students are kept at a calm level, and having an extra person come into the classroom to help.
Awesome answer. Before we wrap up, do you have any questions for us about Anywhere School District, our expectations or next step in the hiring process?
I was just gonna my question, but
go ahead.
It's like I know you're gonna tell me this and like my strengths and weaknesses and how can I improve my interview, but
yeah, absolutely.
And like when you'll make the final decision would be like what I would ask.
Yep, perfect. And so the final question, and this is a chance for you to really sell yourself, is what makes you the best fit for this teaching position?
Makes me the best fit is I'm kind, caring, very attentive to the students. I want to be there. I've had a lot of background working in many classrooms through the exploration, leading, homework, AmeriCorps. I've been in preschool and in kindergarten classrooms, so just having that long background that others might not have had.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time today. We appreciate all your thoughtful responses, and we'll discuss the next steps as we proceed.